So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. And in this episode, I'm going to show you how to preserve that battery on your iPhone for even longer, to keep it at 100% maximum capacity long as possible, and to maybe reduce the amount of cycle counts you have, or to at least make them last longer so you don't have as many as quickly. Now, certain phones like the 14 Pro Max cycled a little bit faster for me, and certain phones actually just do worse on battery, so there's not much you can do about that. And just ignore these comments that are just going to be like, this guy, you just use your phone. You bought it to use it. You don't need to do all these features of blah, blah, blah. Those are just insensitive commenters who don't put themselves in the shoes of the users who want to extend their product life a little bit longer, who pay $1,000 and aren't trying to pay $1,000 every year or go to the Apple store to inconvenience their daily lives to go ahead and buy a new battery and have to schedule an appointment and wait on that to come in and then bring it in. No, listen. You have to put yourself in others' shoes sometimes. People want their phone to last. They pay big, hard-earned money for this and they want it to last. So most of what we're talking about today is going to be in the settings area, obviously in the battery settings area. Let's go into battery health right here. You can see I have a 77 cycle count, 100%. My first use was in September 2023. It's currently May 2024, and this was manufactured in July of 2023. You want to go over here to go to charging optimization. And the first thing I've been doing with all my iPhones is when I get them, I turn on clean energy charging. Kind of limits the whole, charging, overcharging, stuff like that. And I always have on optimized battery charging for that as well. So those two right there, you're going to want to go ahead and have turned on immediately. That's the number one thing that I did immediately when I get these phones is these two features right here, automatically on by default. You can go to the 80% limit if you really want to lower your amount of cycles, if you're really trying to extend this thing, but then you can't really charge past 80. So I don't always use that. All right, so the second one to extend the battery is Apple cables only. Now I only use Apple certified cables, USB-Cs. In a pinch, I will use a Samsung one, which hasn't really hurt my battery before, like a Samsung USB-C cable, but that hasn't really messed it up. But I typically always stick to a Apple official USB-C or a well-known manufacturer like Anker, for example. Not a sponsor. I just wanted to mention them because they're one of the more well-known chargings. But definitely just a well-known manufacturer who's known for making similar quality and not, cheapy quality chargers. Those will really mess things up. So I definitely recommend you get a high quality, official Apple stuff for this charging. This has really been crucial for me to keep my battery health maintained. Third one is I don't let my battery drop below 30% ish. Sometimes it gets into the 20s, but I don't really let it drop too far. And that is I think a big thing that's kept my battery health on most of my iPhones higher is I really pay attention to that. Some people just use the phone. They don't care. It keeps getting in the red every day. And then they wonder why a few months later, why do I have 90% capacity? Why do I have, 95 already? I just bought the dang thing. Well, you're letting the thing die every day and then, have to recharge it fully. You're cycling it frequent amount of times. And that's just causing it to, you're kind of messing the battery up early on in its life cycle. If you want things to last, you need to maintain and take care of them. Whether you look at these electronics as disposable is really on you. But if you are planning to keep it a long time, maintain it properly by not letting it drop super low, like below 40-30% every single day. Try to keep it, topped up once in a while. Pretty regularly, and you'll be in pretty good shape. Number 4 is I don't ever let my iPhone be put in car windows when the sun is beaming, like really hot outside, which will overheat the phone or get the phone really hot. Apple actually has a message that will come up. You can use your iPhone when it's not overheating. Like that stuff actually can pop up. So it kind of detects when it's getting too hot and they'll shut things down a little bit, but I don't like it to get to that point anyway because I know it's damaging the battery. And if the phone gets like too hot in general, like even when I'm using it or if I'm, doing something heavy, I will definitely go ahead and, just like let it cool down a little bit. So that's something, and let it get back to operating temperature. That doesn't usually happen to me unless I'm really testing these hardcore. It doesn't really happen that frequently. So I definitely don't have to do that too often, but it is something that I'm very aware of when it does occur, to let it cool down a little bit or get it out of the heat or the sunlight. So I typically use a vent clip to keep it away from the windshield when driving to keep it from getting too hot. So the next one, at number 5, is that I turn off power hungry features, provided that you don't need to use all of them. Start with general here, go to background app refresh here, and right now I have them on just to showcase what I'll do. So what I'll do is I'll go through these and I'll see which ones do I not need to be refreshing. Like, I don't need the games refreshing. I'm not going to hotel this weekend, maybe next weekend, but I don't need it on at the moment. And the Genshin Impact, Free Fire, you go through and just see what you don't need refresh. Maybe you need a calendar to refresh because you need to check your schedule a lot. Maybe you need the maps to refresh because you're using navigation tons. But go through these and see what you don't need and try to tick off as many as possible. This will save a ton of battery. If you want to be really extreme, just click this and just turn it off altogether, and then manually refresh all your apps. It's a super power hungry feature. Another one that's actually more power hungry than you wouldn't notice is notifications. So you can go to notifications, you can go ahead and go through these and turn a lot of these off. Not only will this stop people from bugging you or applications from trying to steal your attention all day, you can also save yourself some battery. So yeah, all the power hungry features that are really, taking up things in the background will really, even if you're like not using Bluetooth, like turn it off. Like that will even save the battery from being pushed as hard as well day to day. Could actually extend the overall capacity. So the next one is regular charging. This is also good for the battery. Very good for the battery. Lithium ion technology likes to be charged regularly. Doesn't like to be overcharged. Doesn't like to be drained all the time. To keep those cells healthy, you do want to charge this thing pretty regularly. So the longer you go without charging, the worse for the battery. The more you leave it on the charge for a super long time. They have a lot of features that are helping that not be such a problem anymore. But yeah, just kind of like charging it more regularly. Even and what I do a lot, if I'm being honest with you guys, is I'll charge the phone and then I'll take it off after a while. And then I'll put it back on charge for a little while, and then I'll take it off for a little while. I'll get myself 20% here, 20% there, and just rock out. Sometimes I'll be at like 83. I'm like, I'm good for a while. I'll come back later when it's at like 60. I'll go back up to like, 85, 86, maybe sometimes 90, 92. And then I'll just rock out like that for a while. I don't usually go, super long without charging, even though this phone can last a long time. I definitely pay attention to that. Not all of you are able to do that, but if you're using CarPlay, for example, that also gives your phone a little bit of a charge as well. So if you're not always home, but you are driving, you could just stick it into the, car charger, make sure it's an Apple official again, but that can give you some juice as well. At number 7, I'm guilty of doing this quite a bit in the past, but lately I don't leave my phone charged overnight. I stopped doing that. And I think that's helped me a lot because when I do leave it charged overnight, I check my cycle count. I keep getting a new cycle count. Every time I charge overnight, this happens. And I'm not saying I never do it. Sometimes I just need 100% for a busy day the next day. But if I'm not having a super busy day, like where I need to go out with 100%, then I will just let it, stand by overnight, and I'll charge it during the day and keep an eye on it a little bit more. Again, this is not very practical for a lot of people. So if you are going to be charging overnight, maybe you'll want to go ahead and use the 80% limiter. And then while you're getting ready in the morning, throw it on an Apple official fast charger while you're getting ready for work or whatever, and just top up a little bit more to get even better optimization of the charging there. So that's a little tip you can do. But for some people, it's not going to be practical to go ahead and not charge overnight. So this one's not going to work for everyone, but I'm just telling you, it is a way that I've maintained and kept my cycles a little bit lower. So the next one is related to charging once again. So here's one of the worst things you can do. You're playing a game, right, on your phone. You're getting low. You're really pushing that phone. And then you start charging while you're playing the game. This is a terrible idea for battery health, because if you're playing a game that requires some CPU intense, that's going to tax the battery, and then you're charging on top of it, you're going to heat this thing up. It's not a good idea. Definitely not. I notice that's one of the hardest things on the battery. It's one of the times the phone gets the hottest when I'm charging while using the thing. horrible for the battery. I do that a lot with my iPad, and I basically have trashed my iPad's battery. It's not really doing well anymore. So I know that's a problem to be using the phone heavy while charging it at the same time. It just puts a lot of strain on the battery. The next one is to try to avoid repeated drops of the phone. Now, I know these phones are super durable nowadays. They're marketed as those ceramic this, ceramic that, super durable strength, IP60. I get it, but the more times you drop the phone, the weaker the structure becomes, especially if there's some serious drops. This is very easily avoided by damaging the battery. You could damage the battery if you're dropping this without a case. This is super easy avoided just by getting a case. So putting a case on actually has battery benefits that you didn't know about. Maybe you didn't know that actually protects your phone from damaging the battery and therefore causing strain on that, everyday battery life. So keep that in mind. If you want this case, if you're like, where is the case you have? I like that case. This is a super minimal, thin, black, matte kind of case. It's got a nice grip texture to it, but keeps it super thin around the corners. I'll leave it linked down below. Number 10 is just the fundamentals. You should know to keep your software updated. This is something I do regularly. And I don't mean like, don't check it. Like I come in here almost every day. Even though it does have the automatic updates on, I still come in here and check just to make sure did something drop? Did a new update drop? Another thing I do is keep all my apps updated. I probably check this maybe once every single day just to see, even though I got auto update on both, I just check to make sure it is updating. And if you don't need to check, if you have auto on, it should do it eventually, but sometimes it's a little slow. So sometimes I get it updated quicker than auto update can recognize it needs an update. And my bonus tip is going to apply to a certain niche crowd of people, someone who is going to be storing their iPhone for a while. Maybe you're going to switch and try an Android phone, or you switch phones. Try to charge this up to about 55-60% before storing this for an extended period of time. This can also apply if you're doing maybe a phone challenge where you want to switch to a different phone and you don't want to be on a smartphone for a while, maybe get a little bit more focus in your life, whatever. Any which way that you're going to be storing the phone and not using it for extended periods, and I mean extended periods, like 1 month or more, charge it up to 50-60% before throwing it in the drawer. That will extend its battery health long term. So that's how I keep my iPhone at 100% battery health longer. And notice I said longer. You cannot really stop this from happening. So over time, it's going to drop. If you keep a phone several years, don't expect 100% capacity forever. But I think I'm definitely getting a longer capacity than a lot of people because of some of these habits that I have employed on the day-to-day. And I hope you can take those and try them out for yourself. Maybe report back in a few months and let me know what you've been thinking about this battery tips. And if you have more, this is only like 11, bro. There's way more. And if you're like, you forgot this, no, I didn't forget it. I'm just not going to put 1,000 tips in one video. I can spread it out across a few videos to make it less long of a video. So if you got some, drop them down below. I'm gonna head up out of here. So let me go ahead and put this on charge. It's for a little while. It's about 56. I'll go maybe take it off in at about 20% or so. I'll take it off that charge. Maybe go to 90. That should hold me over for the day without cycling it fully. Catch you on the next one. Peace.